Guys, you're gonna like this video. We're gonna dig into my 3-step house buying process. These are 3 things that I always do, a checklist, before we ever go out to a house anymore. And I wanna point this out because the goal is to help you increase your appointment to contract conversion. Now, what does that mean? So, how many times do you go out to an appointment versus getting the contract or the listing, right? So when I started my business, guys, I did very, very poor at this, and then I learned how to do this and it increased my business dramatically. One of the biggest things people do when they start their business is they spend too much time driving. That window time in car for real estate entrepreneurs is overwhelming, and they're driving out to leads that they could never buy in the first place, so they're just wasting time, energy, and resources. So the goal is to be smart and be efficient on what you're doing, and these 3 things, if you do these, it's gonna increase your contract to appointment conversion rate. Number 1, price. I never go out to a house until I have that homeowner verbally give me a price they're willing to sell the house for. Sometimes they tiptoe around it, but if you keep asking and keep pressing, they know what they'll take for the house. There's never been a seller on the history of earth, in my opinion, that has not thought about what they'd accept the house for, or what they'd accept to buy the house, right? Even if they don't want to give you a number and they say, oh, well, I really don't know, I really don't know. They know, guys. This is your house. Every house I've ever personally sold on my own, I've known basically what I take for the house, right? So they're gonna say that because they want you to give a number first. But we don't wanna give a number first, right? If you understand negotiation. So how do we get them to give us a number? Here's a basic mini script or elevator speech that I use, right? So I say, Mr. or Mrs. Seller or Mr. or Mrs. Homeowner, if I was to avoid you a bunch of headaches, if I was to avoid you the headache of a traditional retail sale, shorten the time frame, avoid you having to go through the appraisal process working with appraisers, having to go through the inspection process working with inspections, working with banks, real estate agents, a bunch of buyers walking through your property. If I was to buy the property in its current condition, you can walk off leaving food on the table if you want. What is the best price that you'd be willing to sell the property to me for? I guess you could say. And then you shut up. And then when they give you the price that they say, you say, are you sure is that the best you can do? And you go back and forth until you get a number that they're willing to sell the house to you for, right? But you want them to say it themselves. Don't go on an impression that you feel that they're willing to sell it. Because if you get out there and you thought they were willing to sell for 80, and they're like, well, I said I may come down to 80, but what I really want is 100, it's not gonna work out very well for you, right? So before we ever go out to a property, we have that seller give us a number that they're willing to accept. That's step 1, because we don't wanna chase a house where we get out there and we're super excited because we finally got the phone to ring, and we rush out there and they want $150,000 for the house that's worth $100,000. Because if that's the case, you could have never bought the house in the first place, so you wasted all that time. So number 1, to avoid that, which is what a lot of investors do and real estate agents do, get a price first before you ever go out to the house. Number 2, second part of this equation, guys, is a seller confirmation. What we want is confirmation that they're not just a looky-loo and that they're actually willing to sell the house. The market is still hot in a lot of areas around the country, and one of the things that people are doing is they heard their cousin or their sister or their best friend sold their house and got a premium price for it. Then they heard their parents sold their house and got a premium price for it. So let's test the market. Let's waste a bunch of time of a bunch of investors and bring them out there just so we can see what they're willing to offer. And if they give us our pie in the sky shot or give us a huge number, we'll go ahead and sell the house, but we don't really care if we sell the house or not. They're basically just testing the market. But for you and me and all the other investors, we're spending time, energy, and resources to go out to these houses, and they may not even be willing to sell the house unless they get a premium price for it. Once again, that goes back to price. Say they give you the price that you're willing to buy it for, you've done your comps online, you've either had them send you photos or you have a good idea from the description they've described the property as, kind of what it's like. Now we want seller confirmation. What I mean by this is, if I show up to the property today, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, and I bring a contract filled out with the price that you just said you take for it, are you willing to sign the contract today? I'm a very busy person, and a lot of people call me. I don't have a big company with a bunch of employees that can come out here because most of you guys are a single investor, right? I need to know that if I come out here today, that you're willing to sell the house, because I have a lot of other people that are relying on me. They're trying to sell their house and they're ready to go. So if you're not ready to go today, will you call me back when you're ready to actually sell the house, right? So we're trying to avoid all these fly-by-night looky-loo individuals that are just trying to see what you'll pay for the house, right? Because there's a lot of people that do not actually intend to sell the house to you. So you want confirmation that if I show up today with the price that you want in the contract, you're gonna sell the house. That's step 2. The last one is very, very important. All parties must be present. What if there's 2 or 3 people that have a claim to the title? What if there's a couple siblings that inherit the property? What if you're in a divorce situation? What if you're in a husband-wife situation, guys? What if you go get one party to sign the contract and they're trying to sell the house out from underneath whoever else has a rightful legal claim to that property, and you need more than one signature? This has been a massive problem for a lot of people over the years, is they get super excited, they go out and contract a house that they think they're gonna make a bunch of money on and get a really good deal, and then they get to the title search, and guess what? That person is not the only one that has to come in and sign on that property. So you need to make sure that everyone that has a legal right and legal ownership of the property is going to be there to sign the contract. So you ask them, Mr. or Mrs. Homeowner or Seller, when I show up, is every single person that you're aware of that needs to be there that has a rightful claim to the property, will they be able to sign the contract? And are they willing to sell it today? And are they willing to sell it at the price that you agreed on? Because say one of them said they'll sell it for 100 grand, and then the other party, their brother, sister, spouse, is willing to only sell it for 150, you just wasted your time. If you rush out across town, you get a contract, and you think you're gonna buy the house for 100 grand, and then you find out there's another party that needs to be signing, and you can't buy the house, not only did you just waste a bunch of time, your emotional peak in the fall can cause you to be very, very upset because you feel like you lost the deal, even though you never lost the deal in the first place, because you never should have gone out there in the first place, if that makes sense. So these are the 3 things, guys. Get a price, get selling confirmation, and all people that need to be there to sign the contract are gonna be there before you ever go out there. Now, there are some rare situations here if you're working low equity deals or you're trying to do subject to types of contracts or lease purchases. So if you guys are doing a strategy that requires a little more creative type of knowledge behind it, or a creative different type of strategy, like owner financing or anything like that, you want to probably go out there to these houses, any of them, as long as the person is willing to sell the house, right? Because you can work an agreement out with them. But if you're a strict lowball cash offer wholesaler or flipper, or someone who's only offering to buy the house at a discount, and that's your only strategy that you have in your toolbox, or the only club in your golf bag, I guess you could say, you need to make sure that these 3 things are done before you go out there, so you don't waste those 14 out of 15 times where you do not get a contract. Guys, I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to save you a bunch of time, because time translates to profit. I hope you liked the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. If you have other videos that you want me to film, guys, let me know. Put it in the comment box below, and I'll see you on the next one. Have a good day.